Welcome to pregame Iowa State, Utah tonight. Game number 3 of the Big 12 slate for the third-ranked Cyclones, tipping off in about 30 minutes from now. My name is Chris Williams. I will bring in Rob Gray from Hilton Coliseum here momentarily. I want to thank our presenting sponsor, of course, that is Channel Seed. Hope you've enjoyed pre- and post-game coverage of Iowa State men's and women's basketball all season long during the Big 12 from our friends at Channel Seed. Pre and post game, again, remember that. I want you guys to put it on your game day calendar from now on. We are here for you, courtesy of our friends at Channel Seed. Of course, we couldn't do it without our associate sponsors, Keen Project Solutions. If you are looking for a career that challenges and inspires you, shout out to my friends at Keen Project Solutions. They are celebrating 10 years of innovation, serving ag, industrial, and commercial customers with pride. Also, shout out to my main men, Chase and Clay Natuzzel. They are Raymond James financial advisors with offices in Ankeny, Carroll, and by appointment in Ames. It is that time of year. Everybody's thinking about New Year's resolutions, finances, all that good stuff. I would invite you to keep my friends, huge Cyclone fans, Clay and Chase Natuzzel, in mind. Let's go to Hilton Coliseum. Iowa State is a 16.5-point favorite tonight over the Utes of Utah. And Rob, I've kind of been out of pocket, and I apologize. I'm totally out of the loop here. I'm going to lean on you for some Utah knowledge here. But the one thing that I find interesting about this game is the Craig Smith, TJ Otzelberger, kind of this direct line with these two as far as their history goes. It's funny when TJ was the head coach at South Dakota State, I used to go and watch games a lot. And South Dakota had this young head coach named Craig Smith, who was kind of like the rival at the time. And the Jacks just beat up on him a couple times in the conference tournament. It was fun. So then TJ goes to Las Vegas, and we go over there, mid a conference tournament. I'm like, hey, it's that Craig Smith guy again. He's coaching at Utah State. Now here they are, both coaches in the Big 12 conference. That's what's interesting to me about this game. A 16.5-point favorite are the Cyclones. I like the coaching matchup. It's a fun one.
Well, from the Summit to the Mountain West to the Big 12, right? So,
Yeah, direct line. Those two just following one another.
absolutely. That is certainly an intriguing aspect to this game, which, as you said, the line was 17 and a half yesterday. So that tells me that people apparently don't think Iowa State will put it on Utah that much. But I mean, Utah lost by 25 at Baylor, then got embarrassed on their home floor against Texas Tech by 28 Saturday. So I know they're dealing with some injuries. I know they've got dynamic twins, Gabe Madsen and Mason Madsen in the
Shooters.
guard court. Yeah, real
Yep.
good shooters. Gabe in particular, because of his size at 6'6", a bit more of an NBA prospect. Though Mason shooting at about 45% from three. They've had to play a lot of guys, and they like playing a lot of guys. They got a good little point guard, literally, in Mario Little, who's averaging close to 5 assists, 5 boards, and just a couple of turnovers, more than the steal. So they got some dudes, but they've really struggled lately. 3 losses in a row. Played St. Mary's tough earlier this season. Played Mississippi State, another ranked team, tough earlier in the season. So again, they've got enough dudes that if Iowa State, doesn't play well, this could be a tense game. But if Iowa State plays well, there's a reason that line was set at the 17, 18 point area, early on.
Reminds me a little bit, just a little bit, of when BYU came to town at the end of last year. I think BYU is a more talented team than this Utah team is, but just in the sense of that BYU team, if you caught them on a hot night, they're really deadly, and they did. They played really well that night in Hilton Coliseum. It was on senior night. Gave Iowa State everything it wanted, and that's how I look at this Utah team. Is if they are like 1 out of 10, 10 being the best, if they're at an 8, they can. That means they're shooting really well, and they're going to make up a lot of dead possessions because of the 3-point ball. But you can't just say that without acknowledging Taman Lipsey and Keyshawn Gilbert in that perimeter defense with Iowa State. Bad matchup for Utah as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I would say very much a BYU light, given the players BYU had and
Correct.
what they put on Iowa State in Provo. And then it looked like more of the same until the Cyclones had that really nice second half in that game. Um, It's going to be really tough for them tonight, man. I'm just gonna go out and say it. I think for Utah, they're going to have to hit a ton of threes. They're going to have to minimize the live ball turnovers, which again teams have done really well scheming against Iowa State in that regard. It's not been as high as certainly TJ wants it to be in terms of an overall number. But again, the half court defense then responds. So you put those things together. I think there's a reason this line was set at 15 plus points, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't a minimum of a double digit victory for the Cyclones tonight.
Looking at just the overall metrics of this Utah team real quick, they are in the top 100 in offense and defense, but barely. 97 offense, 100 on defense. They are 48th as far as tempo goes. Um, they, they've lost, as you mentioned, 3 in a row. A little deceiving. They had the neutral court game against Iowa a few days before Christmas. Ironically, that game was up in South Dakota, where Coach Smith used to coach. They had a lead for like 35
Yep.
minutes in that basketball game and completely melted down. So they really should have beaten Iowa. And as you noted, they have been just completely obliterated by Baylor and Texas Tech to start off Big 12 play. But this is one where, from an Iowa State perspective, Rob, this wouldn't even be considered. Is this a quad 3 game?
It's a quad 3 game, yeah.
Which is super duper rare in
Yep.
Big 12 play. You just don't see that very often. So, from a metric standpoint, not obviously it's get the win. This is one where you could actually drop if you only win it by single digits. I don't know if you would drop like a spot, but it could actually, like, in a weird, if you're into this sort of thing, most fans aren't. I get it. I get into the weeds probably too much. However, um, it would do you a favor to win this by 10 or more.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it is rare. I mean, Utah sitting at 90 on Ken Palm. Oklahoma State's 107, Kansas State's 87, UCF 80, TCU 75. Colorado in that same range, UCF. But outside of that, you're looking top 60 and in most cases top 40 in that area for what you're going to face. Night in, night out in the Big 12. So, yeah, I mean, again, if the Cyclones play well, that shouldn't even be a concern. But again, they've got to score. Utah gives up a ton of points. You got to be super super efficient offensively, and I think maybe look to the bigs early. Like it's been a recipe for success a lot too to get Jefferson and Jackson going, and then you space the floor and open up that perimeter a lot. And this could be a hot shooting night maybe for both teams, but I think for Iowa State in particular, the way Utah struggled defensively.
Quad 3 for Iowa State tonight. Next 3 games, a totally different story. On
Yep.
Saturday at Texas Tech, Iowa State may or may not be favored in that one. That's one of the few games where it's probably around a pick 'em for this team. And then Kansas at home a week from tomorrow. So that'll be obviously a spirited game in Hilton Coliseum. And then you got to go to West Virginia on the 18th of January, which is a Saturday. So if this is, if this is a light game, which I hate using that. I've been around the Big 12 too much. Although I don't know, is Utah a Big 12 team? I don't know. Like there's a lot of dynamics here, but it gets nuts after this. Real quick, Aiden Wyatt, pull this thing up. This is pretty cool. We got Keyshawn Gilbert wearing a Tame and Lipsy Cyclone Fanatic T-shirt. We got
Conrad,
main man Conrad
CEO.
Hawley wearing this Tame and Lipsy shirt. We've got Kurt Jones wearing a President's T-shirt. They're all wearing our T-shirts during warm-ups. That's pretty sweet. Very cool.
ISU Jam. Very, yeah, nice.
Very
Nice look
cool.
up. By the way, West Virginia down 11 at home right now to Arizona, who's revived in conference play. So late in the first half there. So great start to the season for Darren DeVries and
He's
West
done a
Virginia.
hell of a
But
job. He's done a
uh,
hell of a job. I'll be here after the game, and I'll kind of review the night in the Big 12 conference. Unfortunately, it kills me not to be in Hilton Coliseum and dealing with some stuff. Be back here soon. But Rob, get up there to your perch. We look forward to you and Connor and your coverage later tonight. And hopefully Iowa State is 3-0 in the Big 12 conference after this one.
sounds good.
All right, he is Rob Gray. Thanks to Aiden Wyatt for producing, as always. We are presented by our friends at Channel Seed. Iowa State a 16.5-point favorite as this thing goes off. Cyclones in Utah coming up in about 20 minutes. I'll be here directly after the game to analyze everything that goes down tonight in Hilton Coliseum. For Rob Gray, for Aiden Wyatt, I'm Chris Williams. We'll see you here in a couple of hours.
AI to us.